with the new iMac, we also have the new Mac Mini. Now, there's not as much to say about the new Mac Mini. There's really no design change here, just a little bit of a spec bump up to faster processor speeds, as you can see here. We have a 2.26 gigahertz Mac Mini with 160 gigabyte hard drive, which is fast, I've got to say, for the little thing. Plus that little underpowered 9400M graphics, but you know, what can you expect out of this little box? And then the higher end model has a 2.53 gigahertz plus 320 gigabyte hard drive. Now, these are all I took in stride. However, what took me by surprise was the Snow Leopard server option that you could have for a full grand. Now, I think that's a little expensive, but you are paying for expensive software because Snow Leopard servers, quite frankly, costs a lot. But you get dual 500 gigabyte hard drives in this thing. That's a terabyte in this tiny little machine. Now, you do sacrifice your CD drive, but then again, what server uses a CD drive on a daily basis? Just saying. They'll probably include it with remote disk. But that's impressive, and it's nice to see for those businesses that need a server cluster of Mac Minis. There's a lot of them out there that use server racks with Mac Minis. Moving on. The MacBook. The MacBook got a minor update as well, and people are flipping out about this update because it got a design refresh, but I honestly wasn't as impressed. It's just a little refresh in terms of how it looks. What they did is they took a unibody design from the aluminum MacBooks and extended it to polycarbonate into plastic, which is good, really good. However, it's not as impressive, and to be honest, it'd be nice just to see the plastic go away, but it's not going to happen. So, what we have here is just one model at $999, 2.26 gigahertz with a 250 gigabyte hard drive, 9400M graphics, and also a new addition, the 7-hour battery, and you also get 2 gigabytes of memory standard. Now, this is a powerful little machine for what you're getting in terms of what Apple has offered before. It's definitely one of the most impressive MacBook offerings, but a lot of people have been debating whether it's actually worth spending an extra $200 on the MacBook Pro. And here's what I have to say about that. The MacBook is about students or basic consumers who don't care about aesthetics as much as they do about just having a computer that works, if you get what I mean. It does not have FireWire and does not have an SD drive, but Apple considers those Pro features, which makes sense, hence MacBook Pro. This also kind of lacks the nicer displays that are found on the MacBook Pros, but again, the consumer really doesn't care, and the consumer probably doesn't even notice, to be honest. So, the consumer's getting a lot in terms of a more sturdy kind of build and more power in this little thing. And to be honest, if I had to choose between MacBook or MacBook Pro, I'd actually have to go with the MacBook because I never use FireWire in terms of mobility. I would never use it. And to be honest, this has a bigger hard drive. I kind of do not understand why Apple would kind of let that oversight go, to be honest, because the MacBook Pro has a much smaller hard drive, at least a 13-inch. For $200 extra, getting a downgrade there doesn't make sense. Apple needs to fix that, and it's proof there's going to be new updates very soon. I'm predicting the new year. Okay, now on to the new item, besides the iMacs, that was really getting everyone's attention. I mean, I know the MacBooks and the Mac Minis were getting everyone fired up. And, well, not maybe so much the Mac Mini, but you get what I mean. The Magic Mouse. Everyone's flipping out about the Magic Mouse because Apple decided to reinvent, so to speak, their mouse that everyone has hated for the past decade. Apple has ubiquitously had just terrible mice. I'm going to be honest with you. They're just known for terrible mice. I used to fall into that sucker trap of just assuming they were bad. I've used pretty much every Apple mice, to be honest with you. I've used the hockey puck mice with the G3 iMacs, which wasn't bad, it was just small. And I used the Pro optical mouse, which was great, scrolled well, just didn't have a scroll ball, which kind of was disappointing. And I've also just used the Apple Pro mouse. It was just white with a iced enclosure. Again, it's kind of annoying not having a scroll ball or squeezable sides or 2-button clicking on those mouses. Now, moving on a few years, we then introduced the Mighty Mouse. The Mighty Mouse introduced a few new buttons, by one sitting on the side, and also a scroll wheel click, and as well as a scroll ball. Now, in terms of just how this looks on paper, the mouse should have been good. Now, however, what threw a lot of users off was generally just how the mouse worked and how it looked, considering that the mouse had no visible buttons, if you get what I mean. It was a 2-button mouse because it could sense where your fingers are on the mouse, and you could right-click, but a lot of people just didn't notice that. So It was annoying having to explain to people how to do that. And also, expose piss people off when you squeeze the mouse too hard on the sides because people tend to do that. Now, I loved the wired Mighty Mouse. Scrolled well, worked great, but the wire was ugly, and the scroll wheel began to die. That's a huge problem with that scroll wheel. It's annoying. It dies. It gets full of dirt, and it's annoying. Now, I bought the wireless Mighty Mouse because I thought it would be nicer, but the scrolling and the tracking on that mouse is just horrible. It's really choppy, not precise, and I do not recommend that mouse to really anyone, to be honest. So I settled on my Arc mouse. Greatest mouse ever in terms of wireless. Now, moving on to this Magic Mouse, it certainly looks nice, has a really thin profile, and enables multi-touch on mice. Which is great, because that scroll ball sucks. It's gone, great. Good riddance. What I'll miss is the expose buttons, and it would have been nice to see them build that into the side of the aluminum chassis, but I guess it's not going to happen. I'll miss the expose function, which is even on here. You can see there, the expose button, even for Mac users. Thank you, Microsoft. Now, in terms of this scrolling, I've heard that this mouse tracks really well, even if it's a little slow. Then again, that's a Mac OS X problem. You're going to need to get a new mouse driver to speed that up. But to be honest, I'm impressed that Apple decided to actually reinvent their mouse. Now, let's just, in terms of design, I just want to talk about this. This is probably one of the most beautiful Apple products I've seen. I'm going to be honest with you. It's low profile, it's not flashy, and it keeps white. White and aluminum look great. Unfortunately, Apple can't really do that with displays because white around your screen would look horrible. So, to be honest, I like the white and aluminum look. Now, will I be buying this? Probably not. It's a little expensive for my tastes, and to be honest, I am still dubious on the tracking thing. I really don't trust Apple in terms of tracking on their mice. Also, an expose button is a must-have feature for me. I need this. Now, in terms of multi-touch, I would greatly appreciate it, but I can still get all my work done just fine with my Arc mouse. So, to be honest, I have no real need for this. It'd be nice to have, because it looks nice, but I really don't need something just to match the theme of my iMac. Come on. And to be honest, I'll be honest with you, it looks almost too low to the ground. I mean, I know that the Mighty Mouse and the Arc mouse all sit low to the ground because they're fairly small, but this looks even lower, and that could be potentially uncomfortable. I mean, come on, I have big hands, and I don't need to get arthritis from my saxophone playing. That'd be terrible. But all in all, for someone this would be useful to, probably not a power user, but more of a consumer that loves this kind of crap, then go for it. Okay, so that's my opinion of all of these Apple products they've released lately. To be honest, color me impressed. I'm incredibly impressed with what Apple's done. They've taken the MacBook, made it more of a value than ever. They've taken the Mac Mini and made it more versatile than ever, plus with a server option just to make those people happy. And then you finally have an iMac that is able to stand up to PC towers. Now granted, you'll be playing more, but you're getting one of the nicest displays on the market, which I forgot to mention. There is a display-in option for the 27-inch models, which gives you one of the nicest displays on the market, not even released for the PC market yet. So to be honest, this was a great update. I think it's awesome. Thank you, Apple, for releasing good updates and making me faithful that you actually can do good stuff again.